What's up, everybody? It's your boy Luhkai back here with
Mizuko. What's up, y'all?
And we just want to do a video basically explaining, recapping everything up until this point. If you don't know, today is June 4th, aka basically like Christmas Eve for Nintendo fans.
Switch
but
drops.
Switch
2
drops tonight
drops.
at 9 p.m. if you're in the West Coast. But if you're like East Coast, then
You gotta wait till midnight.
which means June 5th. So June 4th, June 5th, kind of all a blur. But basically tonight is like the night before it releases, and we're gonna go pick one up later. So that's we're gonna do some videos. You already know,
we got a vlog ready for y'all.
A vlog coming up. You know, we've been cooking up. Got my cameraman right here.
Yes, sir.
And so we just want to explain basically everything leading up to this point. You know, like starting out, no one even knew if Switch 2 is coming out this year. Everything we know about the Switch 2, we found out this year, 2025, and it all kind of started. I mean, even you go back like 2 years, it was like Switch Pro rumors and like, oh, we're gonna get a new Switch. Oh,
No one knew.
It's gonna be 4K. It's gonna be like
yeah.
up-res, this and that. And like, honestly, none of that came true because it was just the OLED, and then here we are to Switch 2.
Yeah.
But I think this all kind of started around. So let's go back to the beginning of the Switch 2 timeline, which I would say is when D-Brand announced the Kill Switch 2. And when that was a thing, it was like this big ol'. They're kind of, D-Brand's kind of known for their marketing stunts, so they did their whole like they done this with PlayStation where they did the back plates, and they were like, oh, you said we can't make our own back plates? Well, here they are.
Yeah.
Boom, or like, we're gonna do this to spite Apple or to spite whoever.
Yeah.
And so I think they kind of did that with Nintendo, like, hey, hurry up and announce that we want the console already.
Yeah.
So they did the big Kill Switch 2, which is the sequel to their original, I think, just case or grip, kind of, for the original Switch.
Yeah.
And so that was a big old marketing stunt that happened kind of late December. And after that, it was kind of silence until CES, which is like, you know, like the tech event.
The tech conference, yeah.
Yeah, it's like basically like computer entertainment. I forget what the initials stand for, but it's basically just like a tech thing that happens every year. You see new technology. And at there was another case maker. So a lot of case makers just leaking out.
Yeah.
They're all like, they must have like spies inside Nintendo or something, because Genki, which is the name of this company, they showed off a model of their case over a Switch 2 at this tech conference, and they basically were inviting people like, hey, come look at this. Basically like asking for a lawsuit.
I know.
And so
Didn't they actually get sued?
I think they did get sued eventually.
Later
I think that
on,
happens later on. I don't know if that's still ongoing. So that might be, who knows? They might be cooked.
Yeah.
But so like they get sued. Well, okay, they don't get sued then, but obviously
later on.
Yeah, so Genki shows off this thing. Everyone's like, oh, like what's the deal with this? Like, did it get leaked out? And no one really knows what's gonna happen. And then there's one leaker that everyone started talking about. I had no idea who this was until
the Switch 2. So
it was like,
NatetheHate.
yeah. So shout out NatetheHate. I think.
Yeah.
I thought it was that or Nate the Great, but it was NatetheHate. I had to like double check. And so this guy basically, I think he's on a podcast with some other Nintendo dude or some other tech insider, and he's like, hey, a direct is coming. I forget the exact date. I don't know if you want to pull that up.
The direct, they announced it on the 15th. So it was on the 15th they announced the next day.
15th they announced it. Okay, so basically he's like, hey, Switch 2 will be announced same day Donkey Kong release. Donkey Kong Country Returns, which is like a Wii game that got ported over the Switch.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, nah, we don't believe you. Like, I was kind of like, I didn't really think they would overshadow their own game, because like, yep, every other week in January.
It was like, it had to be that week.
But of course it's Nintendo, so that they do whatever. It's like Arlo says, like they always just go the like route you don't ever expect. It's like, yeah, that's what we're doing. And so they announced
on the 15th.
Yeah, they announced on the 15th, hey, have a look at the next. It was like the next chapter. They basically like alluded to it without saying it. They're like, have a look at the next chapter of Nintendo.
The upcoming
and it was
chapter.
Just like a little tweet. And then suddenly it changed into the next day, hey, Switch 2 announcement. And we got their first look. And what did you think when you saw the first look?
I was really surprised.
Yeah.
It was completely out of left field. It was just like, they just put it out there. I feel like they might have done it because of all the leaks that had like previously gone on, and people wanted answers, you know?
They're like, alright, we gotta...
You gotta throw it out there and sound like,
but based off at that point in time, like, were you feeling like this is something I will eventually get, or is this like, we'll see?
Well, if I'm gonna get one or not, I'm definitely gonna get one.
Yeah. Well, now it's like,
it's a given, but
all the games and stuff.
Yeah,
but at this point, it was just, I think this was the first time we had seen Mario Kart, so that was like, oh, new Mario Kart right off the bat.
Yeah.
Switch obviously didn't get one because it got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is Wii U. And so, bro, we've been playing the same Mario Kart for like...
For years. It's been
over
forever.
like 10 years. It's probably been over a decade for sure. Yeah, I want to say 2012. That might be wrong, but I want to say...
Was it on the DS?
No, it was
3DS too?
No, because 3DS was Mario Kart 7.
Oh, yeah, you're right. My bad.
Yeah, so Switch 2, first look, we see Mario Kart rolled. We didn't even know the name at the time, so it was just like new Mario Kart's confirmed. Everyone was hyped. I think that was like, okay, I'm buying this day one already because like I love Mario Kart. I got all the gold tires and everything on Mario Kart 8, so I was like, this is day one for sure.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, it's just one of those games. Like that's the game. It's like the best seller on Switch. Yeah. So it's like
it's one of the OGs. Like it's a must-have.
You can't go wrong. That's like I think it was a strong decision for like their first game.
Yeah.
Obviously, see it in the background now. We're at the point we got all this gameplay of the game, so it's like
crazy.
It's crazy. And so they showed that. They showed the bigger screen, obviously, new kickstand. Although having an OLED, it's like, it's cool. I like that, like...
I like the OLED one more, honestly.
Really?
It just seems way more...
I like that the wires can go through it, though. Like, I feel like, because it's, like, more of an outline.
Yeah, I guess.
So
I guess
it's like...
Yeah.
But yeah, the OLED one's not bad either. So it was like, okay, the new kickstand's cool if you have an OG Switch.
Yeah.
And then it was like, the USB-C at the top was honestly...
The USB-C port on top.
That was the thing I was most excited for.
They could do so many different accessories. Like, imagine, I remember that I saw a rumor of like the 3DS type.
So yeah, I was gonna say that right now. It was like right after they had announced that like they're gonna do the USB-C port on the top, because there's one on the bottom of the top, so it's gonna have two. Everyone was like DS retro, like they're gonna sell like the Switch Online DS thing. You just plop it on. Then there's still rumors of that, but I haven't really seen
nothing confirmed.
Anything.
Yeah.
Although that did turn into the camera eventually. Well, we'll get to that. But yeah, so it was like they did the first look, and it was just like, okay, bigger screen, magnetic Joy-Cons, USB-C at the top, the Mario Kart
joysticks.
Oh yeah, the new joystick. They kind of hinted like, hey, they might be better. Same way they hinted at the mouse, but didn't say it. It was like we kind of know like they had it like slithering. Yeah. And so, and then the big thing was like it's backwards compatible, which people were saying like it's not gonna be. I saw a YouTuber like BeatEmUps. He was like, I don't think they're gonna do it. They want a whole new start. I was like, nah. They have to.
It's like the 3DS and DS example.
Yeah, it's like the DS was too successful to like leave it behind. Like, it's just weird. And so, and honestly, now that you say that, you kind of, that's a good point. Like the portables have always been backwards, like at least a generation. Like the Game Boy Color worked with Game Boy games.
Game Boy
Advance had Game Boy, and then like even the OG DS
had like the Game Boy Advance.
And then the 3DS had DS. Like it's always been back in generation. And so at that point it was like exciting, and then they announced, hey, we're gonna have a direct, and that's gonna be a Switch 2 direct. So everyone was like excited for that. I don't know. I was counting down the date, even though it was like 3 months away. It was like, dude, and it came quick. Honestly,
it felt really short.
It's kind of weird because I was like, oh, I'm gonna do all these videos in between. Didn't do them.
Didn't do anything.
And
it just
like
kind of snuck up on us.
And it was like, oh, the Switch 2 is coming out tonight. And we were like, okay, now we actually gotta like do a timeline of everything.
Yeah.
And so the wait to that was kind of just whatever. It was speculation. It was all this, like, I remember Nathaniel Bandy posted a video. I'm referencing a lot of YouTubers. Maybe I'll link them.
Yeah,
probably
in the
not,
description.
but
maybe.
And he was like, I think it'll be open roll because you can go off the course and get the gas pump. And I was like, I don't think they do. That's like so out there. And then the game's called Mario Kart World.
Mario Kart World.
I mean,
he was pretty on the dot.
Pretty on the dot, man. I can't lie.
Yeah, crazy.
And so the wait till then was like the Switch 1 Direct. Hey, you want to pull up the list for the Switch 1 games?
Yes.
Because this was like, we had made a predictions video, and our predictions, I think I had said, I think they'll show Prime 4, which had already been announced at this point.
Yeah.
And then they were going to showcase Pokemon ZA. And they did showcase those 2 games. Those were like the 2 games they had to show off. They had some other small ones. I know Rhythm Heaven was showed off, and Tomodachi.
Yeah, Rhythm Heaven and Tomodachi Life, yes.
And I mean, those are big for the people that are into those. I hope they get Switch 2 versions, because like that suck if like it's kind of left behind.
Yeah.
I think they will.
Most likely.
But
and then the virtual cards.
Oh, that was the big. So
yeah.
So the Switch 1 Direct, which was also leaked by NatetheHate. This one came out a week before the Switch, so everyone's expecting Switch 2 Direct now. Out of nowhere, it's like boom, surprise Switch 1 Direct that no one knew. I think it had to happen because they had a lot of like leftover games that were like, okay, we got to figure out what to do.
You need to tie up the
loose
ends, yeah.
And so for those games, it was like, let's just see. We need to see Prime 4. We need to see Pokemon ZA. We need to see like just like
a whole bunch of games that
And so that was a cool little direct. There wasn't anything I was like, oh my gosh, like we already knew Prime 4 existed, and we knew Pokemon ZA existed. They announced it really early.
Yeah, they did.
Like, it was like a Pokemon Presents or something, right?
I feel like it was meant to be for the Switch 1, and then it just became like the timeline collide.
Thank God it's for Switch 2.
I know.
Bro.
Imagine another Pokemon game. Not to hate on the Switch 1, but like I'm kind of low key.
Well, they're already saying Sword and Shield runs better, so it's gonna be like if you're into. I don't even play Pokemon, but I'm happy for that. I'm happy for him. I'm
so into Pokemon. I really hope it runs that much better as they're saying, because it's a little tragic.
Yeah, so there was like a Switch 1 Direct, and that was leaked out, and it was like, okay, that was just kind of clearing the air. But then the Switch 2 Direct came, and that was a pretty, like, that was a behemoth of a Direct. Probably, I would say, like, top 3 of all time. If you don't count, like, a Smash, like, for me, Steve being a Smash will always be the best Direct they ever did.
Of course, yeah.
But this was pretty up there in terms of, like, games. There were rumors before the Direct. Obviously, there's another thing, is, like, in that Mario Kart look, from the first look, it was, like, Donkey Kong's redesign. What's the redesign? And people thought it had to do with the Universal Parks opening up. And so it was like, okay, we'll see where that goes. And then that turned into, what if there's a 3D Donkey Kong? And like, they hadn't done a 3D Donkey Kong in a really long time. So that did end up getting announced at the Switch 2 Direct. Although that's not launch. I think firstly focus on everything they announced.
Everything launch,
because the launch for this console is already insane.
So stacked,
it's like,
bro.
Having to choose between games. Like, I remember Wii U was like, okay, I'm just buying... I think it was like New Super Mario Bros. U. It was like, that's all I'm getting. That's the only game. No. And now with Switch 2, it's like, even Switch 1 was like, I'm buying Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
That's it.
Super Smash Bros.
They didn't have that.
That was after.
I think that was December.
Yeah.
And so for this is the first console where it's like, okay, Street Fighter 6 is day 1, and then you have like Cyberpunk 2077 is day 1, and then
you got Fortnite 2,
Fortnite on Switch 2.
Yeah, and then you got all the upgraded versions of like Tears of the Kingdom,
Breath
of the Wild, Pokemon ZA, all those.
Pokemon ZA. Well, I think that comes out later.
Yeah, ZA comes out later. But.
So like that as a direct, it was pretty good. First thing they announced, I think, was like game chat, which is like, okay. And they spent like 20 minutes on that. I was like, bro, everyone was like, you gotta move on.
Wrap it up.
I remember that direct actually was kind of funny to watch because they had issues. They showed off a third-party game coming later on called Survival Kids. And I think it was that game where if you were watching the US stream, it might not have happened in other regions, but like for the US stream, it just froze. But what's funny is it froze, but you could hear the audio. So they're like, you're stuck on a screenshot of Survival Kids, and they're like, hey, Final Fantasy VII remake is coming to the, and then they're like Cyberpunk. So that's how I found out Cyberpunk's coming to consoles. A frozen screenshot.
The frozen frame of Survival
Kids. So everyone's like
Kids.
Laughing, and then I think they rolled it back, and eventually they fixed it. But in terms of a direct, really solid, I would say, because like I feel like there was even stuff you were like. Or what do you think?
I was really excited for. I really wanted to see the Pokemon ZA stuff because they've been teasing that for ages.
Yeah, like, I think me and him were hoping. We were like really hoping that they do a Switch 2 editions of games, and then they really leaned into that. They did Mario Party got announced for later on, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, but not really my game.
Yeah.
And then they did Metroid Prime 4, which was like, okay, I'm hyped.
Now we're getting into your territory. Yeah.
Because that was a game I wanted to play. And so I was like, I'm happy they did that because that'll probably boost sales and stuff.
For sure, yeah.
And then for you, it was Pokemon. It was like, nice, there's a Switch 2 version. And that actually does look a lot better, I think.
It does, yeah. It's really...
And then obviously Breath of the Wild and Tears. I'm debating if I'll get back into those, but I'll definitely... That's like worth checking out at least. Because like the Korok Forest alone looks so much smoother. It's like actually a good upgrade.
Yeah.
And so in terms of like Switch 1 games being ported over, we were pretty happy that like all the ones shown at the Switch 1 Direct were also in the Switch 2 Direct, but like enhanced, you had another reason to go back.
For sure.
And then even just like first party games, I mean, Welcome Tour was kind of strange. There was some strange things about the Direct. Welcome Tour was one of those. But then Mario Kart World was just like, okay, this looks great.
It was the main.
Yeah, it was like, you could actually go off road. Like, this is crazy. So Mario Kart World was like, is this even a real game? And then Donkey Kong Bonanza got announced. And then they announced Hyrule Warriors, the Age of Inquisition, Age of Calamity. No, not Age of Calamity. But the
Age of Imprisonment.
The Imprisonment War?
Age
of Imprisonment. Yeah. Okay, the naming gets confusing with Zelda, but that game was pretty hype. And then they also had major third-party support. I was super hyped because Oh, GameCube
the
too.
Switch Online GameCube.
Yeah, that's already pre-ordered that GameCube controller. So
Yeah,
that's like
it's gonna go crazy.
And so it was just a lot. There's a lot of content in that one like direct. It was like overwhelming to an extent because it was like we had predicted. Okay, Elden Ring. I think that was our one solid prediction. Was Elden Ring will be not day one, but it'll be announced.
Yeah.
And it happened. Like it wasn't day one, but it got announced. And I think Cyberpunk being day one was
it was a really big shocker.
That's like what the like.
Because how many years has it been since that came out?
Cyberpunk. I
want to say like 4 years.
Something like that. 5 years. But it was crazy as the PS4 version got delisted because it couldn't run.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact it could run on Switch 2.
On Switch 2, it says a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and so in terms of a direct, pretty great. I was at all-time hype. I was like, okay, now when do I pre-order?
Yeah.
But I think that was the main issue with the direct. Like looking critically, I'm a big ol' fan of Nintendo, so I try to not be too negative. I was like, no, like the $80 Mario Kart is like, well, it's Mario Kart, but they messed up with the pricing because the amount of misinfo. So after this direct is like rumors, news leaks. Oh, Mario Kart's gonna be 90? No, it's 80. No, it's 70. No, it's 90.
There was so much
no one knew.
Fighting and misinformation spread around where it was just chaotic, straight up chaotic for the,
it was like,
Nintendo community.
It was a little overwhelming because like I shouldn't have to be checking Twitter every day to know how much that console costs.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't even confirmed. People were like, it's going to be 500 just for the console. And I was like, no, 500 with Mario Kart. But then it's like, I thought Mario Kart was 80. But now it's 50. Like, and so, I don't know. In terms of all that, I think it ended up working out by the end, like once pre-orders got confirmed. And that was another thing is that tied into, at that time, was like there were tariffs.
The Donald Trump
like,
tariffs,
yeah, it was just like a big ol' like.
We didn't know if it was gonna get pushed back.
Yeah, because it was like all this political stuff was somehow bleeding into video games, and it was getting awkward because a lot of people were like, I don't want to talk about it, but it's like, well.
It kind of needed to come out.
It kind of needed, but then it kind of didn't affect it because the console stayed the same price. But everything else raised up. So it was like the camera got more expensive, the controller. I remember it was gonna be like $75 for the Pro controller, and now it's $10 up. And it's like, no, can't afford this. Like, already out.
The price jump was insane.
Yeah, I was like already out $7.
Not really Nintendo's fault though. So
no, but no, I would say not. But I mean, they could always take a loss on a console, but that is kind of risky.
Yeah,
so.
Especially when it's like such a big launch and everyone wants a little bit of everything.
Out of that Switch 2 Direct, what were like your main takeaways? What was like, okay, I need these? Like,
honestly, I was just really excited for the look of the console. I'm a very like visual person, so like seeing the all black with the red and blue accents was just really nice to see because that's something I wish they did more of. It's like color switching or stuff like that.
I think it really made the Switch 1 look like a toy in comparison.
Yeah.
Like the all sleek
it just
black.
Looks so nice and futuristic. It's like
Nintendo glaze.
Yeah, no.
But seriously, it does look like a solid console, so it's pretty exciting. For me, I'm always about games. That's probably why I prefer Nintendo. Is like I have a PS5, so there's no bias.
But it's like the Nintendo exclusives have always been like just
except I would say PS4 beat out Wii U in terms of exclusives.
Oh,
yeah, it was like, dude, like Uncharted and all that. But yeah, Nintendo, like Switch 2 and Switch 1, they knocked out of the park. It was like banger after banger, Mario Odyssey to like
Mario Odyssey,
Mario Kart, Smash Bros, Zelda,
all the Pokemon games.
All the Pokemon, it's like it's undeniable. So. But this console is super exciting because it's like, okay, GameCube support. I've been wanting Luigi's Mansion for a while, so they announced that at the Direct, and then they announced obviously Cyberpunk, which we have pre-ordered, so we'll probably be checking that out, let you know how that is. Yeah. And this will be our first time playing it. I don't think you've ever played Cyberpunk.
I've never played Cyberpunk, no.
So that was like, okay, this will be a good excuse to get into it. And plus, I know it's a bigger game, so it's like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mario Kart World, you got to play Mario Kart World.
It's just a must, yeah.
And then, this is one thing that we didn't mention yet, I'm kind of surprised we didn't get into, but the biggest controversy post the Direct was, and this is where I would say this is part of the misinformation, like Nintendo needed to be more clear, is because Street Fighter 6, which I almost bought day one, I didn't because they announced, okay, it's a game key card. And it's like, okay, what's a game key card? And so there's all this controversy. At first, everyone thought every game was going to be a game key card, and like basically the concept, if you don't know, a game key card is like, it's a physical cart, and the game's in store, you buy it in store, it comes in a case, but when you put it in the console, it has no memory on it. So like, think with the Switch 1 game, you could buy Mario Kart off the shelf, put it in your console, it might have an update, but you could just start it right off the bat and play
Yeah.
the full game.
Uh-huh.
And maybe minus the DLC or updates, but you could play the full game on cart on release. With the GameCube card, you put it in your console, it has no memory, you have to download it from a server, so you do have to access a server to get it. And so there's all these rumors, or not rumors, but basically like worry that like with game preservation, is this gonna last a while, is this not?
Yeah, a whole bunch of people
And so people thought every game was a GameCube card, that wasn't the case. Like Mario Kart is on cart if you bought the card. If you bought digital, then
you're gonna have to download it.
We're gonna see tonight how that goes.
Uh-huh.
But what game was on cart, and the reason why I bought it was Cyberpunk, was fully all 64. It was a 64 gigabyte cart, the full game on cart.
Yeah.
And so that was like a pretty good deal, honestly, because it's like you're still paying normal price for a game, but the whole thing's on there.
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty good like just window of games they announced. It was like, wow, third parties are coming in major. But there's still stuff that hadn't been announced. Like we had predicted Call of Duty because they had signed a contract with Microsoft. That never got announced, but it seems almost inevitable. And we're kind of in the midst of like E3 or Summer Games Fest, basically. Yeah. Where they're gonna start announcing stuff. So we'll see. I think that's inevitable. But like, besides that, the direct itself was pretty solid. You know, you had I think everyone came out. Yeah, it's like there's something for everyone. If you're big into RPGs, if you're big into, because I know they had like Dragon Quest 1 and 2 remake are coming to Switch too, and then like they had like obviously Final Fantasy 7, and then like you know like Cyberpunk,
all the Mario Kart.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to keep repeating Cyberpunk and Mario Kart because those two are like
the main ones.
Big games. And then obviously Donkey Kong Bonanza looked great, I would say. It looks like it's made by like the Odyssey team, so that was like...
There was a couple pre-looks in there which just kind of like gave in the little filler that...
and so as a direct, pretty solid. I think it got people pretty hyped. I think they messed up by not announcing price, but also people did overreact, in my opinion, over the console price. But over the game price, okay, $80 is like, alright, bro. But you can not justify it, but be like, well, you could buy the $50.
It's understandable to an extent.
If you could buy it in the bundle, then it's like, well, you're getting a good deal. Because I would have spent 60 or 70 on Mario Kart.
Extra,
and so I spent 50 on it, and I feel like, well, I would have spent, like, I know I bought my PS4, and it was like $450 with no game. And obviously those have gone cheaper. But even Xbox is $600 now. So it's like $450 for a new Switch 2 that's portable. If you're into like the exclusive, you know they're gonna have games. Yeah. And it's like it's almost like not a no-brainer, but it's something you probably will eventually buy. Obviously the game prices are kind of crazy though.
A little bit, but hey. What can you do, you know?
Yeah, at least Donkey Kong will be 70 guaranteed. Yeah. So it's like okay. Yeah. And so post that, it's just kind of like all the what's gonna happen, what's next, and it was just not a dry season because there's a lot of like new details coming out every day, and then they announced the Mario Kart Direct. Nothing got announced during that, so everyone was like, "Let's see what the $80 price tag is about." And then they showed the Direct, and it was like, "This, we knew this. We knew everything in here." And so, and then the other big thing, I guess the other big controversy would be Welcome Tour not being a pack-in. So people were like, "This is like a game that introduces you to Switch 2. Why is this $10? Yeah, $10 isn't a lot." But it's more like the point.
It's like, why is it not built in and integrated already?
And I kind of agree. The only thing that makes me feel like maybe it's good they didn't is that apparently it requires you to have 4K on your monitor. Yeah. And apparently it requires you to have some accessories, which honestly that makes the price worse. Yeah. But you could be like, well, they don't want to include a game where you have to buy stuff. Yeah. And it,
so it's good that they made it optional as an extra, but...
I don't know. Maybe it should have been free, but that's besides the point.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
And so, all that time has led into then pre-orders came. That's another major thing. Is the pre-order season was like, I remember I was watching Kit and Krista and all these podcasts, and people just ranting. They were like, "Bro, these are the worst experience ever." And so, I don't remember the day.
April 24th.
Was it? I think we'll say April 24th. It doesn't really matter, but it was in April.
April
like
24th,
late.
Yeah.
So
April 24th for Target, Best Buy, and Walmart.
So yeah, April 24th at 9 p.m. West Coast time and 12 East Coast, or I don't know if you're in another country, but for at least for the United States, it was hectic because at 9 p.m. everyone's refreshing, and I remember I didn't get any pre-order secured. I had Best Buy, didn't work. Target placed the order, canceled, placed it again, canceled. Hey, your card doesn't work, your address is wrong. No, it's
Target
not.
was just breaking.
Target is just horrible. Yeah. But then Walmart surprisingly came through. That was the one I didn't think would work. So, in terms of ranking, I would say never try to pre-order from Target. Yeah. They might cancel it. I like Target. I bought my Switch 1 at Target day one, actually. Really? And so I was like thinking Target would be the one. And then they had like, if you remember, you get 5% off. And I was like, 5% off a $500 console. That's a lot of money. It's like, I think like, it's like $10.
In the grand scheme of things, not, but
it's a decent chunk. Yeah. And I think you get points and all that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I think Target. But Target had no line queue, and it was kind of a mess. To where I don't think I would, online at least, I would not try and get one from Target. But Best Buy and Walmart were actually pretty good. I saw a lot of success stories. Excuse me. Bro, just ate before recording, don't do that. So Best Buy had a lot of luck. I had no luck on Best Buy, but Walmart, I got through. It was actually my dad that had it on his phone, just Walmart, and it worked. And it was the one I didn't expect. It was the one I had no faith in working, and it worked. But then I heard the next day, GameStop is tweeting. They're like, "We'll see y'all tomorrow," because they knew a lot of people didn't get theirs. And honestly,
so that one was the IRL line.
GameStop probably had the best one because they did
because it was just like more secure.
Yeah, they did an online thing and their whole website crashed. So I was like, well, but then they were like, okay, well, you can come in line in person, and we're gonna have like in-person stock that's only available if you walk in store, which I think is a lot better because it's at least some.
It's more reliable, yeah.
Yeah, it's like with the online thing, it's never fair because it's like, well, if I have 20 monitors refreshing the same website, I have a better chance. Yeah, and it's an odds number. Yeah, it's like you're just playing roulette. Whereas, like, if it's actually in person, it's like, well, I was here first.
Yeah, like, you go and...
Like, I saw people that camped outside of my GameStop before it closed. But there were people that camped outside of our GameStop and just, like, got their thing.
Yeah.
And so, for them, it obviously worked out pretty well. And for me, it worked out well because I was sitting there in line with them. I was like, I want one at midnight because I knew Best Buy and apparently Walmart now. But Best Buy, Walmart, and... maybe not Walmart. I don't want to say Walmart, but GameStop. We're all doing midnight, and so I was like, I want one from a midnight because Walmart's was shipping in. You're gonna hear some ding, but Walmart was shipping in at 6 in the morning. And so, okay, we're back. Had a lot of messages. We're very busy. Not really. It was a group chat.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Pre-orders.
Okay, so
in person.
So back to pre-orders. Yeah. We're like, okay, we're gonna buy. I want one in person night of. We got to make it an event, something to vlog, some event. And so that started with like my local GameStop, which closed. So then it went into, okay, well, now we got to go 30 minutes out to another GameStop because they moved all the orders over there. And so honestly, pretty excited because tonight is the night we're going to go get those. And so it's kind of all
2 hours.
Yeah, about 2 hours. So it's all led up to today, basically. That's like the full, I think it's a pretty good timeline of just like everything that happened. A lot of controversies during that. The gap between the direct and the launch of the console was like
it was just
price,
chaotic.
That game key cards, game preservation, and then there were rumors that like, oh, they're gonna shut down your console if you mod it. Yeah. And I was like, why is that controversial? They've done that for every console.
It's like it's a no-brainer that
I think people were just very reactionary because of other issues. I think like okay, an actual issue, Mario Kart's $80. So then when people get mad, okay, well the console's too expensive.
Well, everything's wrong about the console. Yeah,
it's like
people would just be negative Nancy's about it, like, every little thing.
It's like chill out. And I saw people like, well, it's not as strong as a PS5, and it's like, well,
it's a handheld.
Yeah, like the whole point
to-go
is
console.
portable.
Yeah.
I'm not a big frames person, honestly. So I was like, if it can run 40 on the go on Cyberpunk, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah,
for Cyberpunk, I'm pretty good with that. And even in terms of graphics for Nintendo, they've never been big on graphics, so to see them be 4K 60 on like Metroid,
it's a really big shocker, but like, it's a welcome shocker.
Yeah, it's like super exciting. Yeah. So honestly, I'm pretty excited. I don't know how do you feel?
I feel like it hasn't hit me. I feel like I'm slowly transitioning to, oh crap, we're getting a new Switch.
It's a new era. It's like we finally sat down. We're like, okay, we actually got to record because
it's because we've had the Switch 1 for so long that it doesn't feel right to like say goodbye.
Yeah, it feels weird. Yeah. It's like I've had my Switch 1 since day one, and then I had my Switch OLED since day one because I bought that with Metroid Dread, and now it's like okay, it's a new
Switch 2
generation. Yeah. Like
I feel like the OLED was. I don't know the exact timeline, how many months it's been since the OLED drop, but I feel like we've had it for a really short time.
Honestly, does kind of feel like that, but I mean, that's another thing. This Switch isn't OLED, so I'm sure they're gonna do a refresh. Yeah. I'm almost betting on it, but I wonder what the pricing will be on that. Like, So that's a whole nother. These are speculation for the future, but right now the focus is like, okay, new Mario
We're getting
Kart,
to Switch 2.
Switch 2,
Yeah.
new Mario Kart, Cyberpunk,
A whole bunch of
day
new
one.
games coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, but new
exciting.
season's pretty exciting. And what's
Yeah.
pretty cool is I had this case from day one. I'll give a shout out. It's random, but RDS Industries is the company.
Not sponsored, by the
made-
way.
Not sponsored, but this is the company that
Yeah.
made this case. Been pretty solid, but they didn't have anything announced. So I was like, well, I might have to buy a different case. I was showing him cases, and then they announced their whole lineup like 2 days before the console releases. And so on the way, pre-ordered on the way from Amazon. So
Yeah.
I'm about to have the same case, like running it back, full like nostalgia mode. And so I'm pretty excited. We'll probably see you guys later with everything. Let us know what you think. What were your thoughts on? There's been a lot that's kind of
A
happened.
lot of controversy. So let us know if you guys aren't happy about certain stuff. Let us know what you guys like. You know, a little bit of each.
Yeah, a lot of controversy, a lot of like pros. Like for me, I'm like, I cannot wait for Mario Kart, but then I'm like, well, the price. But I'm like, well, I bought it for 50, so whatever.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's basically. Is that our full thought? Do you have any extra? No.
Really? No. I feel like we went over it.
Actually, I think you have one thing that's pretty funny, and it's something I was considering, but I was like, well, no. I bought every Nintendo console day one. That's always my thing.
That's right.
But, yeah, tell me your little theory.
So, you know how with every console that Nintendo has dropped with like the OLED or the Switch One, the original Switch One, there's always been an exclusive kind of design on the outside.
Variant, special edition.
Yeah, special edition that. So it's like, I don't want to buy the Switch 2 yet unless I know it's gonna get like a Pokemon variant or I don't know, some type of variant that I personally like, because I want to have my Switch 2 as a special edition. I don't want to have the Switch 2 that everyone else has, or like I know other people are gonna have it, of course, but you know, there's just something special about it when it's it's
like yours.
Yeah.
Luckily, I always buy them day one, so we're both gonna be able to like check it out, and be in Mario Kart and stuff. But yeah, you guys let us know what you think. What was your most excited moment during the whole rollout?
Yeah.
What was your least happy moment about it, or like something you disliked?
Yeah.
And then like, what's a prediction? I want some predictions, because like I think I agree with your prediction. There'll be special editions. I think my prediction is a new Mario next year.
You think so? Like
Because
3D Mario?
3D Mario, because there's been no console with, or maybe a 2D one. I would say 3D though.
We just got Mario Wonder though.
Yeah, I don't think they do 2D.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a 3D.
Yeah,
Mario.
because the last 3D was Odyssey.
So that's my one prediction, but obviously that's not confirmed. And Donkey Kong might be just good enough of like a platformer where I'm like, I don't need.
Yeah, you don't need another Mario.
But yeah, that's our full thoughts. So hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see y'all in the next video.
Goodbye.
Actually, wait. We'll do like a proper one.
Yeah, and then.
All right. Bye.
Okay, put the front back. Wrap it up.